Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really glad you are here with us. Today, our mission is to synthesize an exhaustive exegetical and theological analysis of Mark 9.24. It's that famous moment, a desperate father cries out, "Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief." We are using our sources to explore the ultimate human paradox.
Right. It is really about that tension between faith and doubt.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. To really grasp the gravity of this moment, we have to look at the setup. The chapter starts with this glorious mountaintop experience. Jesus is transfigured, right? He's shining with divine light.
But then they come right down from that mountain and hit the messy, chaotic valley of, well, human reality.
Yeah, a crowd is arguing, the disciples are failing miserably, and at the center is a father whose son suffers from these violent epilepsy-like seizures. But the sources note this isn't just a natural illness, is it?
No, not at all. It is driven by a malicious intent, an active spirit literally trying to destroy the boy. And what's fascinating here is how that very public, humiliating failure of the disciples actually serves as massive proof for the gospel's historical reliability.
Oh, right, because of the criterion of embarrassment.
Yes, exactly. Think about it. If you were a fabricator inventing a myth to elevate a new religious movement, you absolutely do not invent a story where your founding leaders look completely powerless and get publicly humiliated in front of a crowd.
They look completely inept.
They do. So the inclusion of this incredibly embarrassing failure actually points to the fact that they were recording history as it really happened.
That makes a lot of sense. It anchors the whole narrative in reality. But Jesus steps in, right? He tells the father all things are possible if he believes, and the father just breaks down.
He does, in tears, with that famous line about his unbelief.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I was looking at the notes on the original Greek translation, and it completely changes how you read this moment. It mentions a specific grammatical structure, the dative of disadvantage, and this word, buthish.
Ah, yeah. Bothish is such a powerful word. It literally means to run toward a cry for distress.
And because of the grammar, he isn't just passively accepting his doubt.
Right. He's actively crying out, "Rush to my aid against my unbelief." It is an active battle. He is taking sides with his faith against the invasive force of his doubt.
It is not a contradiction at all.
No. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this dismantles a common modern argument. Skeptics today, like Richard Dawkins, often claim that religious faith is simply blind.
That it is just some mechanism you use when there is zero evidence.
Exactly. But that is the exact opposite of what is happening here. Jesus was frustrated with the disciples and the crowd precisely because their lack of faith ignored the vast empirical evidence of his prior miracles. Biblical faith is highly evidence-based.
It is an active trust built on a demonstrated track record, not a blind leap.
Definitely not a leap into the dark.
So what does this all mean? How do we bring this ancient text into your everyday life? Think about modern imposter syndrome or even religious anxiety.
Oh, that sudden onset of doubt.
Yeah, when you experience that, it is so easy to feel like a fraud, to feel like your faith is entirely broken. But this father's fractured trust validates that absolute certainty just isn't required to access help.
The core maxim from our sources is clear. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but action in spite of it.
Action in spite of it. I love that.
And for centuries, scholars have argued over who does the heavy lifting in that kind of faith. Reformed views argue faith is entirely a pure gift from God, while synergistic views see it as a cooperative partnership between human free will and divine grace.
But both sides agree on the baseline.
Right. They both agree on one profound truth, which is that honest inadequacy is the absolute prerequisite for divine help. The Father's admission of spiritual bankruptcy is exactly what allowed grace to operate. This raises an important question. How does this actual healing play out?
That is easily the grittiest detail in the sources. When Jesus casts the spirit out, the boy doesn't just peacefully wake up.
He is thrown into a final, terrifying convulsion.
Yeah, and then he goes completely still. He looked entirely like a corpse. The crowd actually declared him dead before Jesus finally took him by the hand and raised him up.
Which leaves you with a final thought to mull over today. What if the moment your personal struggle feels the most lifeless, the most silent, and the most utterly defeated is actually the exact evidence that the deepest healing has just been completed?